I gotta go. I'm gonna go. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Okay. You see, I can't hear you at all. Okay. Yep.
Hey everyone, it is Nate and Hoff. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be revealing the group results, or the group, reveal for Tundra Bowl 10. Hoff, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Always my pleasure. You know, this is still like an extension. It's like we always like War and I always say that like Thunderdome is like Tecmo Christmas. This is kind of like Tecmo New Year's. It's like, it's the final thing you do New Year's Eve, before like the new Tecmo year starts. So like I consider like Thunderbolt at this point like the culmination of the full Tecmo year, if you will.
Yeah, it's this is a big day. It's 10 years in the making. You've given so much, and the team has given so much. So I'm very appreciative for you, and very appreciative to the community. So I know we're just getting started here with the group reveal, but thanks everyone for joining in. And Huff, specifically, thank you to you and the team for always supporting the tournament.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. They're saying there's an echo. You probably have to mute your TV or whatever sound you're doing there, just so you know.
Probably.
But
Thanks. Well, we'll do what we can on the sound. I'm not obviously an online player, so my streams are very limited as far as the technicalities. So go ahead and just pop it in the chat in case we got some technical difficulties. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So the show content for today and for tonight, we're going to have some Tundra Bowl updates. It's coming up this weekend on Saturday, guys. Tundra Bowl weekend. We got people flying in from all over the country. It's going to be a really awesome time. So we're going to start with some Tundra Bowl updates, player stats, records, prizes, our vote that's going to be coming up, and the 2v2 Twist of Fate. We're going to talk a little bit about Friday night, and then we'll do the Division 2 reveal and then Division 1 group reveal as well. Before we get started, we know that this is our 10th anniversary. For those of you that are tuning in that may not know, this is going to be my last one as far as the director goes. So the individual or individuals that will be taking it over for next year, we've got some things in the works already. We'll reveal that at a later time, but this will be the last one for the Tundra Bowl team as you know it currently. So again, just thank you for supporting over the years. It's just sometimes life takes you on different paths where you got to invest in different endeavors. So that's kind of where we're at right now. All right, Tundra Bowl updates. We have a Tundra Bowl record that's tied now. We've got 16 states. Texas is not colored in there. Hoff, we got people from all over the country. This is probably the most interesting map that I think we've had. We've got the Midwest, obviously, but then we've got PNW showing up big, and then we've got a couple coming from the South, too.
You know what's kind of crazy about this is, except maybe for Florida, this kind of it, and maybe Arizona. I guess if disaster was coming, he'd be on there too. Like this is kind of where people play Tecmo in our community, right? Like I don't really know if other people, like if there are people from other areas at this point, or maybe I guess Prime I think was in Atlanta. Granted, he doesn't go to live tournaments, but this is kind of where it is. And you've got poor Nas, you've got him by himself in Louisiana. That's kind of funny, but regardless, yeah. So this, I'm excited that all these people are coming, and it's kind of a weird, like you said, a weird picture. It kind of looks like a little dot there at the bottom, and then obviously, good job by the PNW, by the way, for coming.
Dude, they always rep strong, and I don't know what it is, but it seems to get stronger each and every year, which I very much appreciate that group coming out. Hopefully, sometime we can get out to do some Tecmo After Dark or something out in Pacific Northwest. It'd be good to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go out there sometime and hang out with those dudes.
Let's make it a road trip. Maybe we can cut through North
Yeah.
Dakota and pick up some of the Burning Wart people.
Oh, that's a good point. GPS in the chat. Drake is from Maine, so if Drake actually ever showed up, he would also be part of this. But
I did not know that dude was from Maine. That's pretty cool. I suppose what else are
and
you gonna
just
do with
okay, you know
that?
what? Okay, DPS, you can just basically list every single state that we forgot. Okay, but they're also not coming, so whatever.
All right, moving on. Harry Sydney is going to be part of it again this year, which is awesome. We're just very grateful to continue to partner with him. Over the last 4 years, we've donated about $2,400 to My Brother's Keeper. So you guys should give yourselves a round of applause for that. That's phenomenal. Provides a lot of mentorship around Brown County and the surrounding areas for young men, which is really great. So it's cool to see him being a part of it again. The doors will open at 10 a.m. on Saturday. Harry and My Brother's Keeper will be representing from 10 a.m. until noon. So if you want to get there early to chat with him and be able to hear some of his stories, maybe purchase his book, get some autographs, that'd be awesome. What we do ask is if you are getting autographs, $5 minimum suggested donation. If you can't do that, that's fine, obviously, but we're just trying to, again, raise some money for a really great cause here in Northeast Wisconsin. All right, top Tundra Bowl players historically has not changed much since last year. Total wins all time is Primetime with 58, and it goes all the way down to Tim Poppy, who is now cracking the top 10 with a tie at 27 wins. Part of this is longevity, and part of it is just repeatedly doing well at Tundra Bowl. 1,000 Point Club is a club that does not have a lot of people to it. Again, it has to do with deep runs, and it also has to do with longevity at the tournament. You see Primetime's got the most points there. Gats cracked the 1,000-point mark this last year. And closing in, we've got Josh, we've got the Shield, we've got Tim Poppy, and Nelson. Anybody on there surprising for you, Hoff?
It's obviously, I probably, this is probably a kid's show, so I can't swear. So I probably, crap on primetime more than anybody when it comes to what I think, where his ranking is compared to others in the community and whatnot. But I will say this. That dude shows up and just rakes at Thunderbolt all the time. And to be frank, a couple of years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago at this point, when he faced Gas in the championship and got double dipped by Gas, gave that game away and still almost won it at the end. If you remember
Yeah.
that whiff JJ whiff at the end of the game, that he still like whatever. But I gotta say, like, whatever happens with him in the leagues and whatnot, how he does in league, he just always absolutely rigs at Thunderbolt.
Yeah, he is. He's somebody who always shows up to play, even if he doesn't. In other areas online or other tournaments. You're right. He did get bounced in the round of 32 last year, but traditionally has done very well. Just so you guys know the asterisks there. If you know Tundra Bowl history, you'll know that those are all previous champions as well.
I think it's
Tecmo
probably safe
Challenge.
to say Regulator would have more championships if he didn't get drunk with Rico.
I 100% agree with you. I thought he would be our first back-to-back champion. Um, who knows what's going to happen now with DPS this year? We know he's on a hot streak, so we'll see. We'll see. Tecmo Challenge, $5 per attempt, like we have always. A portion of those proceeds will go towards my brother's keeper as well. This year's Tecmo Challenge is our toughest one yet. So we've got, if a player successfully scores a receiving TD with Harry Sidney, and there's custom rosters for the NFC and AFC. In one possession, they'll win a randomly chose card, which will then potentially be tied to some of these prizes that you'll see here on the list. So this is going to be a little tougher than the normal one. Receiving TD first and foremost, and the rosters that I come up with are going to be interesting. So definitely are going to want to take cracks at this and probably get frustrated by losing a few of them. I don't care how good of a Tecmo player you are. Tecmo's going to Tecmo sometimes. And if you have one of the worst rosters I can put together against one of the best rosters, we'll see.
It'd be really interesting
Yeah.
if you would do it without without a cartridge, like if it's a computer situation, we can kind of, I don't know if you remember, old Dirty Tecmo, formerly known as Diaz, created a little parody that I helped him with, where he was basically making fun of Randy Fairfield, and he basically made a team that was all 100 ratings, and then a team that was all sixes, like speed everything, and just had us play each other. We played a whole game together, and he did all of the Randyisms, I guess. I don't really obviously know all of Randyisms, but I actually did score a touchdown on that as a six MS, six everything player. So just food for thought. If you can score a touchdown with that, maybe that could be your challenge
That's
instead of the
interesting.
Pro Bowl stuff.
Yeah, maybe in the future that's something that we take a look at. Obviously we're going to have, some pretty terrible players on one Pro Bowl roster and some pretty great ones on the other. I mean, should be able to still be successful. We want people to be successful, but at least make it a little more challenging this year.
Yeah.
Would Randy be considered Madison 5? You think Riddler would say that?
I don't even know if he's ever been to Madison, but I mean, he's here now. That's the problem. So, but we can. I do think we should lend some credence to this and spend a minute on it just to give Riddler his due of the fact that his Madison 5 origin. But anyway,
Yeah. All right, door prizes to be won. The Richmond Webb, courtesy of Protege, so really appreciate that donation. He's unable to make it this year, so want to give a shout out to him and gratitude for that. Ricky Sanders, for those that were signed up by, I think it's March 19th, I'll have to check the sheet. They're eligible for the Ricky Sanders autograph jersey. And then the Joe Morris mini helmet, that's eligible for everybody. And a handful of people got bonus entries due to social media entries. So these are the 3 door prizes to be won. It's the most we've ever had. Hopefully you guys can walk away with something good other than a good time, which is always bound to happen in Tundra.
I mean, they could also walk away with Dart beat down when I play with him against anybody who wants to challenge us, for what it's worth.
Well, I thought this was a 1v1, and I just kind of tag along and take automatic third place between you guys.
Well, I mean, honestly, I thought it was just a grudge match between the 3 of us kind of thing, and then all of a sudden he starts throwing out $500 and stuff. I'm just like, well, I mean, if someone wants to hit me their money, I'll take it. I'll take it. I
Yeah,
take
no,
all Ward's money. I mean, I can take other people's money too.
yeah, it's It can be a grudge match unless Tim's actually going to do that. Then I'll step gladly aside and watch you guys just play. All right, Division Two to be won. We've got 3 or 4 groups right now going in Division Two. Think those numbers will probably spike a bit higher as we get towards game day. It's normally Division Two that gets a lot of those walk-ins and last-minute entries. In fact, had one about an hour and a half ago is the latest one. So that won't be updated in the slide, obviously, but people can continue to register all the way up until game day. I'll set T-shirts aside for those people that are registered, and then those coming in at the door on game day are just kind of at the mercy of whatever size we got. Normally we have extras. I don't know if more than a couple people have ever walked away with a shirt that's not their size. So I think we're pretty good on that front. But Division Two prizes to be won. First place is going to be an Andre Reed signed jersey. It's actually a white jersey, not a blue jersey. I forgot what color I got, so it's a white jersey. The second place, the box of NFL scorecards and 4 Tecmo autograph cards from the Packers. And then third place is a gold replica Super Bowl 25 ticket. So pretty good time. Again, it's like $25 to come out and play D2. So if you guys know anybody that wants to come out, have a great time, get to know people a bit, play a bit of Tecmo. I mean, it's $25, you get a free T-shirt, and you got a great shot at winning some great prizes.
Yeah, I would say that Big Red belongs in Division Two. So if you want to demote him, I'm cool with that.
I mean, maybe we can have some crossover between Division One, Division Two, because Shield does still have to play Red. So we'll see. All right, so Tundra Bowl schedule. Like I said, doors open at 10. Harry Sidney arrives also at 10. We'll start about 11. Normally the first 10 to 15 minutes is about format, the thank yous, all that stuff. I'll try and get the sentimental stuff out of the way, being the last one that I'll be running. So we'll get that out of the way right away, and then we'll get into format stuff. Group play will conclude around 3:25. 3:45 bracket play begins, and 8 o'clock-ish is what I have on the schedule for when it concludes. When it actually concludes is typically around 9-ish. Depends how quickly guys can get through their games.
And for those of you who are gambling degenerates like I am, the line on Nate getting choked up when he gets sentimental is minus 165.
All right. Yeah, I get choked up a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. You'll see there on the sheet, too, for those that are new to Tundra Bowl, I'll have a sheet next to every station. It has approximate times for when your matchup is. Make sure you look for your name, what time it is, and then your station number is your group number. There may be a couple groups that'll switch locations halfway through the day so we can get more people on stream. We have the Red Zone stream returning again, so that'll be a switch, I think, between either 6 or 8 stations. So that's what we're going to try and bring it back to. But we want to make sure that everybody in Division 1 at least tries to get onto stream. So we might switch a couple groups. But regardless, you got a sheet here. Gives you approximate times. That way it alleviates some of the when do I eat lunch, when can I grab food type thing. We want to make sure everybody's hydrated, make sure everybody's eating their food. We know that the day can kind of get away from us at times. So at least give you an idea of what you got for breaks.
And it's not healthy to go shot for shot with regular or Rico.
I would highly advise against that. Highly, highly, highly advise against that. Or you'll end up like Flo looked in the Discord chat here very shortly ago. All right, simulated season. We do this in between group play and bracket play. So as we tabulate the brackets, as far as group winners and those that are making the round of 32, we run a simulated season. And the way we do this is the first 56 players in the doors are randomly assigned a team, max of 2 people per team. So then the simulated season runs, and then the Super Bowl winner is crowned. The score of the winning team, those 2 players, one will have an odd number at the end, one will have an even number at the end. So if the Broncos score 25 points for some reason in the Super Bowl and win it, very odd score to get. But if you have the odd on 25, you would win, not the person who has even in the Broncos. So that's how that winner of the contest is determined. So again, the first 56 through the door. With Harry Sidney coming at 10 a.m., I would highly suggest try and be there prior to 11 if you want to get in on this. Normally we got some sort of fun prize to give away. It's nothing major, but it's something fun to do in between. So this is a reason that I think the numbers are going to spike a bit as we get closer to kickoff. We're doing the local news circuit this Friday for the most part. Channel 5 I'll be on sometime between 9 and 10 a.m. Channel 2, I have to go in and do a pre-tape segment that'll air sometime in the afternoon or evening, and then likely probably the Saturday morning. And then Channel 26, we're talking to them to see how we can get in studio as well. So it's the most news coverage we've got prior to the event, which is really cool to see. It'll bring a lot more, hopefully, through the doors and a lot more support for My Brother's Keeper, and ultimately more people just to hang out and play Tecmo. So hopefully it works out. All right, Friday night in Twist of Fate, and we're almost to the groups. 2v2, it's randomly seeded on Friday night live. We're not going to pre-seed anything. It's just going to be a random draw. Single elimination, no repeat matches. And the winners get free weekend passes for Tundra Bowl 11. Same thing with Twist of Fate, randomly seeded. Single elimination, no repeat matches or fates. By matches, I mean you can't call Green Bay Cleveland, every matchup as you go. Gats would, I'm sure, love player 2 in a Green Bay Cleveland matchup. At least that's what I gathered from the chat today. I don't know. And then Twist of Fate, free weekend pass as well. These are some of the Twist of Fate fates. Have not finalized the list yet, but you'll see here. My favorite one is probably the Mittens Tecmo. That's always the fun one where you wear oven mitts. Did you play that one yet, Hoff, or not?
No, but I mean, damn, it's hard. Like Twist of Fate, man. Just it doesn't. I mean, anyone who thinks they shouldn't play or I can't win it, whatever, you have no idea what goes on. And literally, so like for example, you could be playing Gats and he can have to play with oven mitts or play with his feet or hand behind his back. I don't even know what some. I mean, they're all listed there, but I've seen some weird stuff, and so definitely if we get into it, it's less Tecmo and more fun.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you. I mean, yes, Tecmo Bowl won it last year, and I forgot who won it the year before. Like, you still have to be semi-skilled at Tecmo, but really, and I genuinely mean this, anybody can win because the Twist Fate can affect either player 1 or player 2 or both. So it's a lot of fun. No Look Tecmo is quite interesting. I get to claim that I actually beat Regulator in Tecmo, but nobody needs to know it was a No Look Tecmo. All right, so group reveal for Division 2. Hoff, this will be a quicker one here. The number 1 overall seed is Beef Juice. I'd like to hear your thoughts on him playing Division 2.
Man, I think he should stack up and move himself up and just have some fun with the big boys with this last run of yours and this last hurrah of this team. But if he wants to stay down there and be a bigger fish in a smaller pond, it's his prerogative. But if I was him, I would come up and play with the Sharks.
I'd agree. However, if he does end up winning this Division 2, the next director obviously will put them in Division 1. So I think it'll be okay. I don't know. We'll see. We got Troy's the number 1 seed. Buddha Bomb is the number 1 seed. And then right now we've got 3 groups. We're on the brink of 4. Andrew S. would be the number 1 seed remaining if needed. I will say that all remaining Division 2 players are going to be randomly seated right at Tundra Bowl 10. So we're going to alleviate the whole group structure for Division 2 solely because that is obviously the most fluid division. So we're going to skip past that outside of the number 1 seeds and then randomly seed the rest of the people right at Tundra. Here are the remaining 2 D2 players alphabetically for now. Swags will be the 5th number 1 seed if needed. Otherwise, he'll be randomly seeded. We've got a couple of returners with Weedman and Spotted Toad, M-Train Love. Scorpion out making his first trip from Ohio, which is awesome. Then we got a couple others that were paid entries, no names yet until they get to the door, and then Bob is there as well. All right. Here's group reveal for Group 1. Were you going to say something off?
No, I was just getting excited.
All right. Yeah, I know. I'm lacking in energy in case anybody notices that I'm lacking in energy. I've been battling a migraine all day, so I'm just trying to power through and get you guys the fun stuff that you're looking forward to here. So thanks for your patience. All right, so here are the unranked players. Now, I'm only going to show you the unranked players for now and the very on the bubble players because after this, we're going to vote. And if you were paying attention in Discord today, we're going to vote on how things are going to be revealed, whether it's the traditional or the state or the chaos. We'll talk about that here in a second. But take a look at the unranked players. We've got a lot of guys on there that could create some pretty big upsets in their groups. And I have to tell you this, and I say it every year, Hoff, and I know you'd probably agree to this. It is tougher and tougher to seed every year because there's so much talent coming to this tournament.
Yeah, I would say that, and obviously you've heard me say this with War as well, that I think that the talent gap between the basement, if you will, at least let's say the ranked people, let's at least call it that route. The talent gap from the basement of the ranked group to the top of the ranked group, aside from like, DPS, for example, is a lot smaller than it used to be. So, and it's a lot muddier, right? Where I just feel like before even years ago, we had a pretty good idea of like how people would fare for the most part. Like, if they played 10 games, who would win seven or eight or whatever. And I really think that it's a lot more coin flips these days than it used to be. So I would agree with you and say that it is tough. And I mean, we can go with bruise numbers or any numbers or whatever numbers you want to go through. Anyone can make any number look the way they want it to, coming from a numbers guy in work and life. But I would say I 100% agree with you. I don't think it's ever been harder to put people in an order that'll make even the masses happy, let alone a couple people happy. So
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think the way that we did this, and just so everybody out there knows, we had almost 3 dozen surveys turned in with those polls as far as the rankings go. And we aggregated the data, we poured over it all, we discussed, and this is where we ended up. So this isn't Nate and Hoff decided that this was going to be this way. This was pulling in aggregate data from almost 3 dozen of you that took the time to fill it out. So thank you
yeah,
for
yeah,
filling that out.
yeah. Just to add to that, just so you guys know, like if you guys, for those of you who just played in Thunderdome, War just basically, and he said it in his streams, did it exactly himself. Like Nate and I just went through what you guys submitted and tweaked it. And like tweaked it to what, made a lot of made sense. There's some tweaks here and there, some bigger tweaks than other tweaks, but for the most part, like this is what the quote unquote general public decided. It's not necessarily like he said the Nate Hoff show. So it's really interesting actually how some of these, you know, turned out.
Riddler had a good question here. Full-time Slackers unranked and number 32 because he's last on the bubble. No, so we ranked. Everybody was ranked. So even these unranked players were actually ranked in a list. And where that came up was the highest of the unranked players right now is Chesty Polar and Full-time Slacker. So if for some reason we needed an 11th group, a 12th group, those people would move into a 3 seed. So that's just where we're at. We did rank all of them. They were all ranked from the aggregate data. And like Hoff said, we ended up tweaking things just slightly here and there. But for the most part, this is a full ranking. So we just simply put unranked because we don't want people to sit and pore over, well, this person was 44th and this person was 46th. And honestly, spend your time and effort elsewhere.
Well, I mean, we did make one mistake. If you're watching the chat, I mean, just out of obligation, we 100% should have ranked Riddler 50 and just had one big five there, like a whole slide for him. But whatever.
We certainly did last year. We should have kept it going. That's my
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah, we could have really leaned on that, or basically, like put like it made the 50 like a V for the five. So like for Madison five, like just, like a big V and then a zero.
All right. All right, so here we go. This is where you guys are going to decide on the Tundra Bowl 10 format. Let me see what I got here. Yep, we'll get there in a second. All right, so here's how the Tundra Bowl 10 format works. The video is going to show this as well. So just in case for some reason the audio doesn't work on the video, I just want to explain how this is going to work. So you're going to have 2 options. The first is our traditional snake draft. Okay, that's traditionally how we've ranked the past 9 Tundra Bowls. The number one overall seed ends up with the lowest number 2 seed, but the highest number 3 seed. Most of you guys play fantasy football, you get the realization of how snake draft works. Number 10 seed will have, so lowest 1 seed will have the highest 2 seed, but then the lowest 3 and the highest unranked. So that's how the traditional snake draft works. It balances out for the most part. The higher seeded 1 seeds tend to have an easier group and an easier way to get into the bracket. But that's just traditional snake draft. The Chaos Reigns draft, which is a new thing this year, whether it continues next year, who knows? I don't know, but I figured it'd be something fun. The Chaos Reigns draft is you're essentially randomizing the number 1 seeds in a pool, the number 2 seeds in a pool, and the number 3 seeds in a pool, and putting a 1, a 2, and a 3 randomly into this group. So the reason I didn't randomize the 1 seeds is because if they were randomized anyway, they would just have different group numbers, so it wouldn't really matter. So I left 1 through 10 as overall 1, overall 2, overall 3, and so on through 10. Randomized group 2, all the 2 seeds, randomized all the 3 seeds. So every group will still have a 1, a 2, a 3, and then you'll have a number of unranked people between 1 and 3, depending on how many people are in your group. So that's the Chaos Reigns draft. You can end up with the top number 1 seed, top number 2 seed, top number 3 seed, all in one group. Anything I'm missing on that, Hoff?
No, I think you said it. So I mean, chaos is probably a strong term for it. Like full chaos would have just been a full random, and
Yeah.
hypothetically, you could have regulator, DPS, GATs, and NODs all in the same group. I'm sure actually some of them would love that. But to be honest, like so, this is more like along the lines of what you said, where it's still quote unquote balanced. It's just that there could be some stronger groups and some weaker groups based on perception and where their official ranking is. So
Yeah.
it's structured chaos, if you will.
Yeah. It's more of, like that organized chaos. Like my basement
Yeah,
seems to be
organized chaos.
organized
I like that
chaos.
too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to go completely chaotic for the simple fact of I don't want to hear Hank chirping that all of a sudden I got randomly a bunch of people picked up from Louisiana that have never played before and put in my group. So, no, I think full chaos would be a little strange. But this at least is a happy medium between the randomization and the traditional snake draft. Just looking at the chat real quick, I don't think that I see any questions. So here's what we're going to do. For those who have ever used Mentimeter, you go to menti.com and you can vote. And we're going to vote. And then I'm going to take a little bit of time to pause and delete the slides that do not correlate with either the snake draft or the chaos draft. Yeah, we're going to have to vote. And then we'll play the video if the chaos draft wins. So here we go. So which group format do you want to utilize? So you go to menti.com. It's right there on the lower slide. And then you go ahead and type in the code, and then that's how you vote. So we'll go ahead and get everybody into that. We'll give you guys a minute to get to it. And then I'll show the results page. Oh, the code's not on there. So we'll go back here. We'll give you guys a minute.
All right. So while you guys are voting, I'm gonna give Riddler his due, so we don't have to. So we don't. We got a lot of stuff to get through still. Basically, for those of you who don't know what Massive Five means, Riddler and Slater get really butthurt because for whatever reason they think that people who used to be good in the community and quote unquote legends according to Gath or not, it really doesn't matter, are just giving too much credence to how good they were. And because they're not around, it shouldn't matter anymore. And so they just think that we glorify these individuals, not we, just people in the community glorify these individuals, and that's basically it. So it's just like in their mind, it's kind of like they think that how it really started was I think it was Thunderdome last year or at some point some ranking system where people who hadn't played in years potentially online or only play in Thunderdome or whatever else, but we used to be good or used to be well respected. They basically they basically got ranked higher than Riddler at 50. And that's kind of how I think that's how the seeds were planted and how it started. And it's just kind of going from there. So I don't know why they get so upset about it. I think it's kind of a shtick at this point a little bit. I do think it bothers them a little bit, at least. And I just think that it's okay to pay respect to people who were good and pay respect to people who are good now. And just everyone can just respect each other in regard to their skill level and what they were or are capable of. Do I think there's some validity to the fact that people who were good back then might not be as good now because of the talent pool now? Yes, I do agree with that. Do I think some of the best players who were good back then would they be good right now? Yes, I do. And I think even if when they first came back, were rusty and weren't used to all the talented people, they would turn into regulator light, if you will, for someone who could just come back and kind of learn the new tricks of the trade and manifest into whatever he does. Like, are they all good as regulator? No, they're not. Regulator is one of the best of all time. I'm just saying in general, from a conceptual standpoint, that's what it is. So for what it's worth, anyone who ever sees the Madison Five Step uh, tirelessly posted, it's because of that. I think I pretty much summed it up, right, Nate?
It does. It does, and sums it up very well. So nice work. All right, so let's take a look at the results. Okay. It is 10-8. Chaos reigns. Hoff, do we want to give it one more minute, or we think we're good?
No, let's just do it honestly. Just do chaos. That's fine. I'm actually, to be frank, super surprised that so many people voted for non-chaos.
Yeah, it is interesting. All right, so chaos it is. Interesting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play the video, and then we'll come back to this screen, and then we will go to the standby screen very briefly while I delete the other slides. So bear with me. Here is the video recorded earlier this morning. So here's how the Chaos Draft works. We're going to take the number 1 seeds, number 2 seeds, and number 3 seeds, and we're going to randomize the groups. So the first seeds are going to remain in their same groups. The number 1 overall seed is going to be in group 1, then number 2, then number 3, then number 4, and so on for the top 10 number 1 seeds, which we'll reveal here shortly. The number 2 seeds and number 3 seeds in each group, we're going to randomize a certain number of times according to the die and random.org in that list that you can see there on the screen. Each group will then have a number 1 seed, a number 2 seed, and a number 3 seed, but they'll be randomized in this chaos draft. So we're going to go ahead and get rolling, pun intended, 6. So we're going to randomize the 2 seeds 6 times. When we get that list, whoever ends up on top is in group number 1, group number 2, and so on. So there's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Then we're going to go ahead and randomize our third seeds, 4. So we're going to randomize that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that is going to be our randomized groups for this chaos draft. We'll get to the results here in just a second. All right, Hoff, what do we think of the format with the chaos draft?
I'm here for it, man. I've been trying to get Ward to do a fully randomized Thunderdome forever, and but then what happens is so like here's the rub, and I think you kind of saw it in the chat a little bit too, is that some people, maybe Tecmo Bow, Regulator, Gas for sure. Like these guys like get off on making their group hard as hell and beating each other up or getting past each other in group play and ruining someone else's chance to make it through, right? Where other people who maybe aren't in that talent tier, if you will, and nothing against anyone who's not, those guys are fantastic, actually want the best possible chance to get to the bracket, because then when that happens, everyone knows anything can happen in Tecmo. So like you play solidly, maybe get some Tecmo luck, maybe get a JJ to Christian to Clay, at the end of the game to win on your way to potentially making the finals and whatnot. And that's how it is. So it's just like, it's kind of tough because I think that, some people, even though I know it's broken up by tiers, like we talked about before, it's very muddy. it's like in certain levels. So like just because someone is in quote unquote the first tier and the second tier, potentially the bottom half of the first tier could be, on par with the top half of the second tier. And so it's kind of like it's not I don't think a number, if you will, just separates people like, oh my God, this person is definitely second tier and this person is definitely first tier. And I really think it extends well beyond that. So I think that while people in the chat might think this chaos thing is like, oh, it's kind of a gimmick because, oh, you still have one from each tier. I don't think the lines between the tiers are very solid, to be frank. I mean, and you can tell me how you feel about it, but that's kind of where I am. And I'm obviously, I look at these groups with you, and whatnot. I just feel like it's just super muddy. Aside from the very, very, very top, and even then, it's kind of like you and I had some trouble there, and like right after the first couple, I think it's pretty, it's not very clear.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think just looking at, and I don't want to name numbers because as we go through rankings and those things, but it seems like there's, you've got your cream of the crop, then you've got people that have an absolute shot of getting it, and then you've got people that have a decent shot at getting it. Like, again, those lines can blur anything from, 10 spots to 20 spots. It's interesting because, like you said in the beginning, the gap has closed so much that some of these things are a coin toss between maybe the last first seed and even the last second seed.
I mean, the best example I can give anybody is, if I mean, and I know like Yeti and Big Red specifically. I think Matt was Big Red's casual's name. I think his name's Matt. The, Mort went 0 and 4 in group his last Thunderbolt. Like literally went 0 and 4 and didn't make the bracket. So if someone as skillful as Mort, who literally kind of taught DPS like how to play the way DPS plays, it's just like, and he went 0 and 4 in group. Anything can happen, guys. So like
Right.
that's why I mean by muddy is that like before I feel like, or like if you're at Madison, right, where there's like 350 people and you've got like three guys calling Bills Giants in your group because they can't beat you or they don't know any better or whatever, like I would say that the cream is going to rise, but like now it's not like that. Like I really think like even like is anyone in the top 30 can beat anybody in the top 30. Like, do I think DPS regulator, not people like that are going to win way more often than not? Yes, I do. But do I think that if they get technical a couple of times in the game, they're still going to win by a lot? No, I don't. Or win it all? Maybe not. So that's what I mean by like anything can happen.
Yeah, I fully agree. All right, here we go. Chaos Reigns group reveal. I think to nobody's surprise, group number one overall seed is DPS. Again, that asterisk is not an asterisk because of the championship. It's an asterisk because he won the championship. We've got DPS, DT, Rico, DKS, and Uper. That's going to be a pretty good group with this chaos group here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, watch out for Uper. Like I know Uper's unranked, but dude, he can bring it sometimes, man. And so he's gonna be. I'm not. Do I think Uper's gonna win the group? No. I mean, DPS is winning the group. I'm sorry for everybody in it, but do I think DT and Rico can give him a hell of a time? I do. Do I think they can beat him? Sure. Like I think they're well equipped to beat him if weird stuff happens or whatever. Do I think Uper can surprise DT and Rico? Hell yes, I do. DKS, I don't know. He might have a tough time there, but watch out. Like it's not all. It's kind of like I know I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but it's not a foregone conclusion anymore. With like where before when you kind of looked at these groups, it kind of you can kind of really just map it out almost chalky. So
yeah, and I was looking at these groups after the chaos when I was formulating the slides this morning, and again, as you would predict, there's not one easy group. Some are maybe a slightly harder group, slightly easier group, but for the most part, these are all hard groups. And I don't think anybody would disagree with the fact that you're going to have to run through a lot of really good players to make it anywhere deep in this tournament.
agreed. And honestly, just shout out to DT, man, PNW, but also that dude puts together the most ridiculous playbooks I've ever seen, ever, including specifically play action, and somehow gets away with it and beats people regularly. So, dude, like that dude is one of the most creative playbook designer players I think I've ever seen in our community for what it's worth.
Yeah, and he always does very well at Tundra, so it's cool to see. All right, we're moving on to Group 2. Regulator, the number 1 overall seed in that group, number 2 overall seed, and number 2 seed Primetime, 3 seed is Nelson, and then 2 unranked players, K-Cab and Tick.
Dude, this group is hard. It's a hard group.
Yeah. Yep.
This is just a hard group. And I know I'm probably gonna say that over and over again, but I mean, Nelson was just runner up in Thunderdome last year.
Right.
Primetime was runner up in Thunder Bowl like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, it's just gonna be hard. Like, I feel the same way, probably less so about Primetime and Nelson, although I did say Primetime always shows up, than I do with like DT and Rico in a sense. But like same concept. Like, could I see one of those guys taking down Regulator, Tecmo or otherwise, just outplaying matchup based, whatever, and winning group? Sure, I absolutely could. And I could see maybe K-Cab, making some waves there too.
So I know so far we've kind of had the same synopsis for the groups, right? So either the
Yep.
2 or 3 seed possibly beating the number 1 seeding group, and then one of those unranked guys taking down either one or both of the 2 and 3 seed. So would it be safe to say, at least taking a look at the whole list, are we kind of in that same boat for pretty much every group of the 2 and 3 could potentially take one from the number 1 seed, and one of the unranked guys could sneak into the bracket?
I mean, I don't know about the unranked guys. That's going to be a little bit tougher depending how many people get in. Could they go on a run? Could Tecmo really go their way? Sure. But I mean, what I do think is that while, for example, Regulator and DPS, is it foregone conclusions they advance? Everyone thought it was a foregone conclusion for Regulator to advance in Thunderdome just now, and guess what? He got knocked out. Like, remember when I showed you that list of all the people who didn't even make the bracket in Thunderdome,
Right.
even with the play-ins?
Yeah.
I mean, there were some big names on there, man. So it's just weird times these days, and I would say that, I know, but this is what I was talking about too with like the 2 and 3 seed. Like, do you guys really think there's this line that separates Primetime and Nelson? Do I think Primetime's better than Nelson? Yes, I do. But do I think it's like this huge thick line that everyone knows that exists? No, I don't. So it's just like, I think there's gonna be a lot of 2s and 3s here that could potentially be interchangeable for what it's worth, and maybe even some 1s and 2s.
I'd agree. Statistically speaking, we have 10 groups. If everything goes chalk, it means we're going to have 2 unranked players in the tournament. So my guess is we're going to have more than 2 unranked players. How many players?
Yep.
Maybe ballparking 4 to 6. I think that
Yeah.
would probably be rough estimate of how the patch is going.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I mean, if you had betting odds on like there would be more than 200, because if you said 200 players is chalk. If you want to say 4 to 6, we'll just call it five. I mean, the over under five. Four. I'd say like the over is probably still like minus 120, minus 130, or somewhere in that range. At least a point flip somewhere. With just the juice. Like I agree with you 100%.
So I'm not a big gambling guy, so I don't know the whole plus minus thing. All I know is the over.
Oh, so basically what I'm saying. Oh yeah. So what I'm saying is, I would think that the over is close to being favored, if not favored. At most, it's like plus 120, plus 130, which is almost like a coin flip, like 50-50. It's almost like a pick 'em.
All right.
It's very close to being a coin. It's very close to being a coin flip.
For those wondering, you can bet sports at Oneida Casino in town. I got asked that question the other day. I don't think state of Wisconsin has it, but I know Oneida Casino has it. But anyways, for those that are wondering, there are no Tundra Bowl odds at Oneida Casino. Don't worry. All right, moving on.
We'll have to, maybe we'll have to make our own odds, man.
I know nothing, see nothing, hear nothing when it comes to that.
Molinar, we got work to do, buddy.
All right. Division 1, Group 3. Number 1 seed, Joey Gatz, is the number 3 overall seed. Kovalkin is the number 2 seed in this group. Deuce coming in from Houston, Texas. To be honest, I didn't know Deuce was from Texas, so this is actually pretty awesome to see him come into Tundra Bowl. Simple Simon and Sanchez are your 2 unranked in this group.
Actually, doesn't that mean that we have 17 states? Because I don't think Texas was highlighted in your map. So
it wasn't. I didn't update. I updated the number, not the map.
Yeah, so we actually have 17 states, which I think now has broken your record, hasn't it?
Well, there's 16, so there's 15 highlighted on the map. I put 16, but I didn't update the map.
Oh, I got you. I got you. We can need
Yeah.
some of those Connecticut guys to come on over. What are they doing? But
Well,
anyway,
Arn came to one a couple years ago, 2 years ago.
yeah, he did. That's right, he did.
Yeah.
I meant now. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is going to also be a hard group. Now, I don't know what Gas is doing in a sense of like how he's playing, how much he's
Mhm.
playing, whatnot. I know how he performed last year, and he definitely wasn't like the Gas of old. I'm not gonna lie, he just wasn't. However, he was still very, very good. So what I would say is that like if you're gonna pick a group potentially that might have a two or three beat, outplay someone, it could be this one. Not because I question how good Gats is. I just don't know how in practice he is. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
we've seen Regulator roll off the couch and come and make the finals at Thunder Bowl before he was back online and whatnot. So,
Yep.
but I mean, no, knowing what Colocan and Deuce can do, Simon's sneaky. Simon is in that sneaky Youper, if not even like maybe a little bit stronger than Youper potentially, but definitely in that Youper range of really surprising people. Do I think he's going to win the group? No, but do I think he can make some waves in the group? Sure do. And Sanchez is one of those people that actually was brought to us by Troy from a Troy server, and he's been stuck in G League and HSTL, but I just feel like he's better than that, and I just kind of sometimes get disappointed when I see him not do well in G League because I've seen some of his games and I think he does well. Like I think he's a decent player, so I don't understand where the disconnect is with Sanchez sometimes. But this group specifically so far, and I know we're only in group three, seems like some weird stuff could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one. I think you're right. When I know Gats is playing a lot right now, I have yet to see what he's going to do in person against top tier talent. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
said.
By the way, we're very stupid to question Gats. Like, I mean, we shouldn't.
Oh, I know. I
I
know.
mean, but I mean, even playing 50 games a day, I don't know who he's playing for that matter, but it's just like if he's playing regular 50 games a day, then yeah, he's going to be well into practice and probably going to make us eat our words and we're wrong. But it's just like it's kind of like think about like the Madison Five thing, like going along with the Riddler mentality at this point, where we can only kind of judge of what we've seen in the last year, and we just haven't seen Gas in the last year. Is really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen Gas play since Thunder last year. He didn't participate in Thunderdome, which is kind of like my big gauge, kind of how people were playing, if you will, for this tournament. So it's just like Gats to me is the complete wild card, not because he's not good or isn't capable, but because we just have no idea how it's going to go.
Gats could have not picked up a controller since Tundra last year, and I'd still put him at least in the bracket at round of 32. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if he ended up in the top four. It's just,
No,
he's,
agreed, agreed.
yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Group four. Overall, 4 seed Randy Wags. Grip Smoke coming in at the number 2 seed, Riddler at the 3 seed, and then we've got Super Duper and Pally Stacks in the group as well.
Yeah, so this is where the unranked players probably aren't going to do much, especially with who they're all going up against here. I'll tell you what, Wags, and I mean, I got to give Wags some credit here. And if you guys probably don't remember when Wags was just destroying everyone in live tournaments a couple of years ago before COVID, I believe, where besides winning online, he was just destroying live tournaments. He went on a nice little run there for like a year or whatever. And he's still obviously very good. But I mean, talk to Regulator, man. Regulator will tell you that Wags, for not being out able to out tap everybody, he only taps like a 14, 15 with his thumb or whatever he's doing. Literally, dude, the dude just plays defense. Like he is just such a good defender with the routes he takes and whatever else he does that I mean he just like rope a dopes you and oopty doops you or whatever he does. I mean, I don't even know what terms regulator uses, but point is that Wag is very good. But once again, I do think that this is one of those groups where Grip and Riddler man can just do some work. And once again, the Grip and Riddler line, like it's kind of like it's very muddy, right? It's just muddy. And I'm not saying that Grip's bad or Riddler's incredible. Like I'm just saying like there's not this big thick line that separates this where Riddler could easily be a two, along and it could just be a numbers thing or whatever else. So it's just this is gonna be interesting. But I mean, how happy does Riddler have to be, or Grip for that matter? And maybe they don't care that they're not in a group with Gats, not in a group with DPS, not in a group with Regulator. Like, don't get me wrong, Wags isn't like a great consolation prize, but at least like you know I feel like he's a little bit more mortal than maybe some of the other guys.
Yeah, and I say this with all genuineness and love for the the unranked. I'm thinking that they also have to be happy with the unranked not being on that bubble of a 3 seed as well. Um, I think, like you said, Uper um, and Simple Simon, and there are a number of unranked guys that easily could be 3 seeds, and in some tournaments 2 seeds. Um, this is probably not that group, but it's not to say they won't give a good game. They just might need a couple more breaks than what other groups might need.
Yeah, I just gotta address what Hank is saying in the chat because he's a troll. Basically, like, dude, all I was saying is it just depends on who you're playing when you're practicing, and when you're playing practice reps, it's not the same as actually playing in a tournament where there's stress and pressure. That's all I'm saying. So, go crawl back in your hole. All right, let's go.
And I also will say, Krabs, I love you. Sorry. Here we go. Group 5, number 1 seed is Nas. 2 seed is Justin Peters. 3 seed is Player. And then 2 unranked, Heidenreich and TA Striker. TA Striker won Division 2 last year. Traditionally has played Division 1. And traditionally is a pretty decent player. So this group, I don't know much about Player or Heidenreich. I can say that from the start. So Hoff, I'm going to be relying on your analysis for this one.
This is a tough group, and here's why. Because it's just like from like a top to bottom standpoint, this is what I was talking about with the talent gap shrinking, right? So it's just like you basically have so once again, Peters and Flair are kind of like two of those people who it's a very muddy 2-3, not a huge separator there, not as incredible. We don't necessarily know live Nas, and I know Nas like is gonna like probably take offense to that, I'm a big Nas truther, I'm a big fan of Nas, but like you know from a live perspective, I don't think, I know he won some tournaments in the South, but I don't think he, at least in the Midwest section, doesn't have the accolades that some of the other best players have. Granted, he had one of the most incredible online runs of all time a few years ago. But it's just like this. But then Heidenreich, literally, the dude just, was in playoffs in D League and HSTL. So it's just like, and obviously Striker won Division two last year. So this is just one of those really top to bottom tougher groups, if you will, than potentially like the unranked here combined might be a little bit tougher than just having like one of the like sneaky unranked guys like with Uper and whatnot and the other ones. So
Yeah, I'd agree with you. All right, Group 6, Shield. We've got Molnar, Tundra Yeti, Big Red, and Dustin. Uh, Dustin is a guy who's kind of played the last few years, so he's got some Tundra Bowl experience as well. The first thing that I notice is familiarity between this group. I tried, thankfully, like nobody ended up in the same group, if I'm remembering correctly, that is like traveling with each other or would play on a, 100% consistent basis. But there's
sure.
definitely some familiarity in this group.
Yeah, I would say I'd agree with that. Obviously, I think we should just, auto advance Yeti and Molnar and just let Shield and Big Red play each other to the death. And then whoever wins the series can just advance into the. I'm just kidding, but in all seriousness, no, this is a sneaky group because obviously Tim before he kind of retired from online, if you will. He was playing incredible Tecmo, like some of the best Tecmo I think I've ever seen him play. I mean, and if you remember regularly when he came back into the fold, which was like I don't remember Tim being that good, and now look how good he is. He said that same thing about Tadeos as well, Kevin. But basically, this is but Monar, what runner up a couple years? Oh, did he win a couple years ago, or was he runner up? No, he won, right?
Kevin?
Yeah,
No, he was
Monar.
runner up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he was runner up a couple of years ago and had that incredible run. Yeti is a tough out. Like this is just another one of those like I want to say that, and I think Shield has the star power. He's just not around right now, if you will, fully in the online community. So it's a little bit tougher. But I would say that this group is just another one that's, you have a lot of strong, solid people making up the foundation, if you will.
Yeah. Um, so people are wondering, was Shield and Big Red a randomized thing? And no, I've told you from the start they are permanently in the same group forever. Forever. So no, it wasn't a randomized thing. It was intentional. So they are in the same group forever. It's must see TV.
It is must see. And I mean, I do wish they were doing a retirement match. So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Group 7, we've got Tecmo Bow. We've got yourself. We've got Mac, Hank, and Chaz. So this is your
dude,
group, buddy. You go
yeah,
off.
big shout out to Chaz for taking the Thunderdome prize that he won. I forgot how he won it. And is coming and made it happen at the last minute. So Chaz,
Yep.
stoked to have you come in. Just want to shout out him there. Obviously, you and I talked at length about Mac when we were seeding stuff, and I was telling you about how well he did, before he kind of stepped away from online in the AFC West against well, I think against Pete Titz and against Randy Wags regularly. I think he won the division 2 or 3 seasons in a row over there. So it's just like this is tough. But what's interesting here is that Tecmo Bowl is probably the most arrogant, outwardly arrogant number one there is. He just is. He just talks a lot of smack, but like he just seems to forget that he was the one who had the number one overall seed a couple of years ago, and then got upset in the first round, which is why he sat in the mic next to me the whole time because he literally lost to the 32nd seed in the bracket. So
Green
I'm really
Magic, right?
stoking the I'm stoking the fire here for him a little bit because I just know he likes to have some juice. Plus, he sadly he knocked out my JFP led squad in the AFC Championship game in HSTL back in the seasons in the 40s, and that made me very sad. And then, but went on record and said that he would have quit Tecmo if I had beaten him. So there's some juice here, man, and so I just think that this is going to be a nice little fun group here. But well,
Yeah.
for overall, probably if you look at it top down, probably a little bit weaker than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid group still. I mean, you take this group in a lot of tournaments, and this would still be a very, very strong group. So, yeah, I think it was Green Magic, 32nd seed over the first seed. And for the record, that's the only time that's ever happened. So, no pressure for the 1 seed for this year.
I will say though, like all joking aside, it was an absolute pleasure sitting down on the mic next to Tecmo Bowl that whole
Yeah,
tournament because it was actually a really fun time with him and he's a good dude. Good dude alert. Hashtag.
he is. And he did a very nice job on the mic, too. I know we give him crap, or at least you guys give him crap, but I think it's just false bravado. Now,
No,
could you
dude,
imagine?
no, he was great on a mic and he'll never let me live down that I let a very drunk, slurring, blacked out beef juice sit next to me on the mic instead of kicking him off and having him sit down next to me instead. And you know what? I'm sorry, man. You're right. I should have kicked beef juice out. Sorry, beef juice.
That's why Beef Juice is in D2 now. No risk of that. All right,
Yeah.
moving on. Group 8. We got Pete is number 1 seed, number 8 overall seed. You got Madtown, you got Sammy Smith, Tim Poppy, and Mad Dog. I'm going to go on record and say that this is probably one of the hardest groups as far as the equalization of talent. Sammy's come on a lot stronger lately for just his, I don't know, technical capabilities. He's not making the mistakes he used to. He's got his tapping down, and he's just a sound player all around. So this is going to be a really tough group.
Yeah, man. I watched Sammy Smith. I mean, granted, it was G League, but I watched him play Nostradamus in the G League Super Bowl in HSGL and literally win the Super Bowl in overtime without attempting a single pass. So, like, I would say that, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I do think Pete Titz is completely underrated by people, and he's much better than people might give him credit for. He's just such a well-rounded player, um, and he's just effective offensively. And dude, it when you watch people who are good at defense, and it's just I've never seen someone, or it's very rare to see people like Pete who literally have no talent on defense, like 38 RP at most, and somehow still lock you down. Like it's just, and that's something that Pete does all the time, and it's just, it befuddles me. I just don't know how he does it. So, but I would say that like if there is a group, with all that being said, and I think Pete's great. If there is a group where someone could shock the world, it's probably this one. it's just because, like you said, of the gap between the talent is not very large,
Yeah.
if you will.
We'll get into predictions on group winner and that after, but we got two more groups to go, and then we'll go into predictions, and then we'll wrap her up. Group 9, ninth overall seed is Thule, Woodshed, the number 2 seed, Flow, the 3 seed, Hugh Melanation, and Stonecutters, a new Tundra Bowl person. Woodshed took his number 3 seed all the way to runner-up last year and took DPS to game 3. Probably one of the more impressive runs in the first 9 years of Tundra Bowl, I'm not going to lie. It was just really awesome to sit back and see. Thule's making his first run here at Tundra, which is cool to see that he's making the trip. Thankful that he's able to come out now. And then he got Flo as a 3 seed, which I'm sure he's not going to be real happy about.
Well, so here's the deal with Flo, right? I mean, Flo, it's kind of like I kind of like lump Flo and Justin Peters a little bit together in a sense that if those guys can stay focused and really just apply themselves, right? And talk about, I mean, when they're playing at their best, they can beat anybody, and I mean anybody. Like they're just so good when they're on their game. But it's just like either the booze or lack of focus or whatever. I just feel like sometimes that affects things a little bit. So for what it's worth, I do feel that way. It's awesome to see Thule. Thule's probably someone else that you know if you want to call Madison Fiver, not that he is because he's obviously still around and plays very well, but like Thule is the only person in the history of HSCL that won 3 seasons in a row. Literally, Thule won in this is before my time now, so we're talking like prior to 2013, so it was over 10 years ago. However, Thule won 3 HSCL seasons in a row. Only player to ever do it. Jazz hasn't done it. Nas hasn't done it. DPS hasn't done it. No one else has done it. Only Thule. So for what it's worth, and here he is still like representing, playing really well, number 1 seed. And he's obviously a very strong player. So interesting to see if Woodshed can carry over what he did last year into this year. Because I mean, I remember because every year when you and I talk rankings, I'm always like, well, is Woodshed really ranked that high? And you're like, yeah. I said, are you sure? Because like obviously, as we said before, it's tough when you don't see people in I don't see people in the online community, so I don't really know. Like I defer to you, right? And so it's just like, but then last year he really showed up, showed out, and could have. I mean, I don't want to say easily won, but had a chance at beating the greatest there is right now in the championship game. So,
Yeah.
and that's not even we didn't even mention Hugh Millen, man, who like wild card, complete wild card plus
Right.
Stonecutter. You don't even know who he is. What if he is the next Icon Boxing, who like Icon Boxing beat Nas and Thunderdome in the first round of the bracket play. A few years ago before anyone knew who Icon was. So maybe Stonecutters is the next Icon. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't. And that's the fun part about it is those people coming in that you have no idea of, and then all of a sudden they start making waves. All right, last one, Group 10. We got Nostradamus, we got myself, we've got Darth Rockman. So there's two very fast tappers there. Full-time slacker.
Also a fast tapper, by the way. He taps high teams.
Oh, fantastic. Let's go, slide tap group. Kind Bam and William from West Virginia. So this is going to be, I guess, the group of tappers.
Yeah, it is. And this is probably the group. I probably don't give Damas enough credit for how good he's playing because he's playing really well. Sorry, I should have said well. I mean, I grew up in a family of teachers that didn't use proper English. But I probably don't give Damas enough credit for how good he is. I give you a ton of credit for how good you are, at least in these tournaments, even though I know you've underperformed in an online setting, but you always show out in your own tournament. I do wonder if people are going to give you shit for your group here, just because um, I don't know if they think Rockman and Slacker and Damas are strong enough, to make you finally earn your stripes. Like, who knows? I don't know. I think it's kind of like half stick sometimes and half like they actually think you somehow favor yourself, which is complete doo doo. But in any event, this is one of those groups. I don't know obviously anything about the unranked guys aside from Slacker, who I think if you saw was on the bubble in the first place. But this is another one of those groups where any of the four of you, in my opinion, could easily win this group. Any of the four of you, including Slacker.
Yeah, it's going to
No
be
offense.
tough. Oh, no, not at all. The fact, and I would not put it past myself to not make the bracket in this group simply because I don't play as much as I nearly used to. I tried to talk you into putting myself as a 3 seed. So that's just kind of where I see myself right now. So we'll see how it turns out. I mean, being in a group of tappers means I just have to change the way I play, and they're really good players. I don't know.
Dude, welcome to my life, man, where I don't out tap anybody anymore. Like literally, when I joined the Online Canadian 13, like I was seen as a very strong tapper. I was a strong thumb tapper. There wasn't a lot of people who out tap me. I could probably list them on less than two hands. And now it's just like I think the only person I out tap is maybe Drake and Rico. So what it's
Yeah.
worth.
Well, we'll see. Rico and then ones.
But
All right.
so this is
So
this is definitely probably top down if you want to like from a depth standpoint. I think I Adamas is great as I said, but I think from a top down standpoint, this is where probably the smallest gap from one to unranked if you in the difference between ability in my opinion.
yeah, it's going to be a tough one. We'll have to see how it shakes out. All right, let's go through some predictions real quick. I'll speed up to the groups. Uh, we'll just overall say group winner and maybe surprising 2 seed. So, like this, I'd say DPS wins the group. And if there's anybody to potentially sneak in that might be sneaky, probably, I mean, that could be a
Well,
3 seed, unranked, or no?
I was gonna say, can we lay some groundwork here? So, like, do
Sure.
we think that a three seed is actually a surprising two seed? Because, I mean, we've at nauseum talked about how, you
Yeah.
know, how muddy it is between the twos and threes in general. I just don't. I would tend to think that basically what we should do here is who's gonna win, and do the unranked guys have a chance to supplant one of the two or three seeds in the bracket? Like, and I know you said chalk two of them or two of the unranked guys are going to get in. So I know this exercise is a little tainted, but that's probably the best way to do this. I want you to disagree,
Makes sense. I'd
or
say,
better yet, are there two or three seeds? Forget the unranked guys in their group. Are there two or three seeds that won't make the bracket?
yeah, let's
That
do
could be
that.
also
Let's
okay.
uh let's go group winner and then one of the 3 seeds, yes or no, if they'll miss the bracket, and if it's a yes, who's going to miss the bracket?
Got it.
Let's name some names. Maximum
I mean,
butt
this
hurt.
just yeah for what it's worth, and for those of you who have been in my HSDL draft reviews or and stuff, like I have no idea. So we're basically just creating content at this point. But okay, go ahead, you first.
We are. It's maximum posterior pain, as we like to keep it PG in,
I like
in
that.
Tundra Bowl. All right. DPS wins it. Rico doesn't make the bracket.
No, I don't agree. I think all three guys make it.
All right. Who wins the group?
Do you think so? Wait, do you in your head like if DT and let's just really get some butt hurt on your end here.
Okay.
If DT and Rico play each other 10 times,
Yep.
who wins how many games? Who wins more games and how many?
DT wins 7.
Dude, like, to me, that's not a huge margin, is it? I mean, it's 7 out of 10. I guess maybe it is, but I think it's like more of like a 6-4. And
Okay.
I think I almost think they're. I think DT is fantastic, and I don't think he gets enough credit because he's obviously.
Yeah.
I know he's part of TAD, but he's less around. Maybe some of the like me and other people, but I think they're more of a coin. That's more of a coin flip game for what it's worth. Just because Rico, dude, the way he plays, and it's very actually a lot like Slater offensively. That dude will literally just QB scramble you for a quarter and a half to death in one drive, just for what it's worth. So
Yeah.
anyway, but I
All
don't
right.
agree. I think all three guys make it.
All right. Group 2. Regulator wins it. And I see all 3 of them making it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go chalk on this one too.
I'm going to have to go chalk on this.
So I bet you here. I think that Simon could surprise somebody, and I think I mean, just from what I mean, Kovalkin's great, and he's and I told you when we were ranking people, he's a really good player, and like he obviously has a huge like a high ceiling. But I mean, he's kind of gotten on what I've noticed in the last year or two is that he's kind of gotten on tilt a little bit, so where things aren't going well or whatever, it kind of goes like right to hell for him. It actually happens to Flow a lot too. I've seen actually at Tundra. So I think if that potentially, I think Simon could potentially surprise Publican or Duth here and sneak in. I'm not saying it's likely, but I just could see it happening for what it's worth.
Yeah, makes sense.
I also think Colican could win that group over Gas.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about him to determine that, but if he's a great player, it's certainly a potential, depending on how much Getz shows up on this one.
Yeah, I would. I hope that I've given because like just like I gave DPS and Thunderdome a like or the maximum motivation to use whatever bulletin board or material he needed to not win me $500 against War and the crazy 5-1 odds I got for the field. I will say that hopefully Gas will use that, and I'm sure Hank is like probably texting him or sending him a carrier pigeon right now to tell him everything I said.
Could be. Um, Group 4. So I love Wags. I see Grip Smoke winning this group, but I see all three of the top three seeds making it.
Yeah, all three make it. I don't see. I mean, I just give Wags more credit than you do, but 100% Grip can win this, and I don't sleep on Riddler either. I think Riddler can win this too. I actually think that this one, while I have ultimate confidence in Wags and Grip, by the way, is playing incredible Tecmo out of the NFC West and HCL against Prime and Nods every single damn season. Literally just raking out there. Just won the division. Just made the Super Bowl, by the way. I think he lost the regulator, I believe when Greg won the Super Bowl, not this past season, but the season before. Um, his first season back, by the way. So what I would say is that, I just think the top three of this is one of the strongest top threes
Yeah.
there probably are in any of the groups. And I think it's gonna, well, I think they're all gonna make it. I think it's gonna be interesting games against each other. I think it's gonna be some high level tech ball.
Group 5. Um, Still see Nas getting this. Again, I don't know enough about Player and Heidenreich to say are they interchangeable. So I just
No,
still see Nas winning.
no offense to Heidenreich, player is much stronger than Heidenreich.
Okay.
Uh, Claire's not one of those guys who can beat anyone at any time. Another capper, by the way. Uh, but what I will say is that player is if anything, I think player can kind of like leapfrog Justin Peters here. Player also played in a division with Nas, in 2K, also in HSTL, held his own against him. Do I think player can beat Nas? Sure. Do I think players can win this group over Nas? I don't think it's likely, but I think it could happen. Like that could be your shock. I could also potentially see Heidenreich sneak in here over player or Justin Peters for that matter. Just out of nowhere. I'm not. It just depends on which Heidenreich shows up.
Now, if we are going to talk about that, let's talk about this just real quick. Let me pull up the official rules just so we're clear on this for group
What do we?
winners.
What?
Group
Oh, go ahead.
winners. So players are seeded by record first and then point differential, head to heads after point differential. Okay. So just so we're clear, so if we have three people that are 3-1, it's point differential over the head to head stuff. Or if you got two with the same record, even if that person beat the other person, the group winner is the point differential for the consistency factor. Now that's different in other tournaments, but the rules are right on the website. So just so we're clear that that's the tiebreaker is the point differential. Max point differential is 28. So it basically runs into takes out the one game Tecmo going Tecmo and goes over the group common opponents. It takes that factor over that one game. So that's just where we're at. Agree or disagree, that's just how we run things. All right, moving on. Group 6. This is tough.
Dude, I love Tim, but 100% think Moldar can win this group.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm even in the boat of Yeti even possibly winning this group. I just played Yeti in
No,
Contact Bowl.
I love Yeti. I love Yeti. I just don't see that happening. I don't think he's
Okay.
going to leapfrog both Shield and Molnar. I do think, and I don't, all joking aside, because I know I give Jeff a lot of shit. Sorry, I don't mean to swear on here,
Oh, you're good.
but Big Red could potentially be that one of those honorary guys that could, also have a good run. couple of technical things go his way and leapfrog some people here too.
Yeah, I'd agree. I couldn't tell you between Tim Molnar or Tundra if which one of the three would not make the bracket, but I could definitely see Red making the bracket. This could be one of those groups where four
Yeah,
people make the bracket.
yeah, I would say. I mean, I would say Chalky probably is most likely not to make bracket. I think there's some separation between Molnar and Yeti. But obviously, I've seen Yeti play incredible Tecmo, and obviously, we've both seen, Molnar play some incredible Tecmo. I just think that Molnar's ceiling, no offense to Yeti, just might be a little higher.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Group 7. Probably chalk for this one, to be honest. Not that you can't win it. I just think
No,
it'll
I
probably
mean,
be. I think it'll be
I do
chalk.
actually, yeah, I do think that Matt could actually leapfrog me. And I mean, dude, with the way I'm playing, like it's very possible Hank or Chad could make it instead of me as well. So
That's
I'm
fair.
just gonna throw that out there that it's not things aren't going well for me these days.
Yeah, it's so
It would
sometimes when
be
you get
it, I
that
mean,
Tecmo slump.
yeah, yeah, Tecmo Bowl has to be literally at least a 5-1 favorite to win this group. At least if you were, if I mean, Monar, just saying, man, if he's not at least 5-1, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. All right, Group 8. Um, Probably Pete's still to win it, and probably chalk. But this might be one of those groups where a fourth gets in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, life is just better when Poppy's around. Especially when he's his JFT. Um, by the way, I just love how everyone has taken my JFT thing and ran with it from years ago. It warms my heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that the thing with Poppy is a little weird is that like he plays well, but then sometimes he doesn't. And I know that's anybody, but it just seems like the variation with Poppy is probably more regular than maybe with some other like good players, where it's just he's more up and down, if you will, than some other people who might be more consistently better.
Sure.
So I think Poppy has an uphill battle here.
Yeah.
I also like while and I know when we went over this group, I said that it's kind of like it is strong. I do have a lot of confidence in Pete specifically, Ethan, to take this group down. But I think if anyone gives him a run, it's gonna be Madtown and probably not Sammy Smith. No offense to Sammy Smith, but I just think that I just think if anyone's gonna take Pete down here, it's gonna be Madtown.
Yeah, I think Sammy and Madtown's going to be a really good game to watch. I just think that
I
their
agree.
styles are comparable. Yeah, I could see that coming down to a last drive type of game. All right, Group 9. I think I'm probably
You
gonna have to go
know,
chalk on this one too. To be honest with you, I could see Woodshed taking the group, depending on which Woodshed shows up. If he shows up like he did last year, I could see him taking the group. But I think if I had to pick one, it's probably going chalk.
yeah, I am going to say in regards to Tooley specifically, is that as good as I said he was in HSPL years ago and whatever else, Tooley is a very strong tournament player, just very strong. He's just, and it's probably something we probably should have mentioned before with rankings, and I kind of said it a little bit about prime time, specifically with this tournament with you as well, that Tooley is just one of those guys that really shines tournament wise, and so I just feel like that's kind of why he's going to even be a tougher out than he might usually be in regards to this. Like for example, if you look at DPS, right? Like DPS is just good at everything, like literally everything. Like every leagues, tournaments, whatever, he's just raking everybody over the coals, right? Where there are some guys like Primetime, like I mentioned before, who just perform better in a tournament setting than they do necessarily in a redraft league or what have you. And I just think not that Tooley necessarily is like there's a big difference between him in the draft league and the tournament, but I just know that he's a very strong tournament player. So I do think that game between Woodshed and Tooley is going to be interesting. And I think Flo has enough bulletin board material here
Oh
to
yeah,
really just, to want to just like tell everyone to go, go F themselves. And he's probably going to say it right to my face the first second he sees me. And if he beats either one of them or both of them and wins this group, he's just going to be prancing around like Flo does, just talking all the smack in the world, and I'm here for it.
I'll say it every year, but Flo is been one of my favorites over the years. Just I don't know. There's something about the guy. He's
Wait, is that when he
it's
is
charming.
passed out in the chair or when he's not passed out in the chair?
When he's not passed out in the chair. when yeah, no, we've had some good conversations. He's a fun guy and he's a good dude. So, all right, last group. Um, I'm gonna go on record to say I don't even make the bracket in this group.
No, that's not true. You
No,
know that's not true. I mean, come on.
I might be a I might be a fourth in this group, but I don't. Based on what you guys are saying, I don't. It's probably going to be Nostradamus, and then either
You
a full time slacker or a Rockman.
you know what? Chesty Fuller made a good point in the chat here. He didn't get put in a group.
What?
Dude, Puller, for what it's worth, I don't know what group he's going into, but he's good. Like he's a very good cycler, if you will, in the passing game. Really strong at that. He's been good at it since he kind of burst on the scene. So I don't know what group he's going to add to, but he's going to instantly make that group harder. Which means you're
Yeah.
probably going to have to create an 11th group. So you're probably going to have some later signups anyway, for what it's worth. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
just for what
I've
it's worth.
I've already got a scenario for that. What happened is I probably because what I did is I took the snake format, copied it, and then hammered through and changed all the names. I wonder if I accidentally deleted his square. So not a big deal. Chesty, I'll get you in a group. I'll shoot you a message. We'll figure it
Chesty,
out.
you're
We'll
going to
put
be
you
in
in.
yeah, we'll just put Chesty in DPS's group.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Huff?
Just
Why
kidding.
not? Why not do this live? Let's figure this out right now.
All right.
Yeah, it's a
Scroll
little
back
scary, I
through.
know, but why not? Which group could add a sixth based on?
All right, that's a good question. Let's go back to the beginning. I can't wait for the peanut gallery, by the way.
I know the peanut gallery is going to be great. This is why I'm doing it live.
Yeah, not this one. Scroll forward, group two. Is Tick good?
He's all right. He can put some things together, but overall, he's kind of a mid carder.
This could be a group that you could like maybe bump K-Cab out and put Chesky in maybe. So this is a maybe. Go forward.
Okay.
No, move
No.
forward.
This is one I was thinking.
Yeah. This it's yeah, I don't know about is that place track? I can't see it. Is that Pally track? Poly track?
Tally stacks, yeah.
And I don't know anything about Super Duper. This could be a group where you could potentially sneak Chesty in. I agree. Go forward to five.
Okay.
No, go forward.
No.
No, go forward. Nah, go forward. Nope, go forward. No,
Nah.
probably not. Go forward.
And then that's got
No,
six.
so you gotta go back. Yeah, it's probably that last one we just talked about.
Four?
One more before this. Four. Yeah. No, not four. Yeah, four. This is probably unless I mean I wonder what the peanut gallery says. Uh, I would probably say this group and take out the better of Super Duper and Palistrax and put them somewhere else.
Okay. Where's Chesty from again?
I don't actually know. He's awesome, by the way. Another good dude.
Oh, yeah. I did meet him once, I believe. I don't know. I meet a lot of people once, and it's like, all right, good dude, and then I forget what their faces look like.
He's from Sun Prairie, which I don't know what that means. Is that like in Wisconsin?
Yes, it is. It's down by Madison.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
I mean, it just makes this group really hard. So
Well,
Chesty is like the problem here is this, right? So like I know it's like so I didn't think the unranked guys had any chance in this group. Like I think you and I both kind of said that on record, right? Now they have an unranked guy that is could
yeah.
easily be ranked in the
Yep.
threes.
Yep.
He's he's like Chesty is relatively the same as Slacker, if you will, in that same kind of grouping. And so like now Chesty could make some waves in this group. So now it's not guaranteed to be chalk. Chesty's probably one of the guys we expect to make it from being unranked at this point. So that's just like to give people perspective at Chesty's ability. Like it did just make that group a lot harder, which is why Riddler is saying, "Oh shit," in the chat, which I agree with him. Like, but there's no easy answer here, so I don't really know. I don't know what the easy answer
Well,
is. I mean,
here's the thing: top to bottom, and nothing against the 1 through 3 seed, but top to bottom, that was probably our weakest group, right?
I would say it was the weakest unranked. It was the
Right,
weakest
right, right.
unranked. Like
That's what I'm
what, like
saying.
one, two, one, yeah, 1, 2, 3 very strong, as we talked about. Weakest unranked, so that's why that
Right.
to me is why it makes sense.
Yep.
So that's the only reason why it made sense to me. Like it's just because if you're looking at the unranked, every single other group for the most part had an unranked that was somewhat strong. Like that's why I suggested group two. Group two is another option, which we could still potentially do because if you want to, in my eyes, and just hear me out because we can still this is still fluid. In my eyes, while Regulator is better than Wags, I think. Although Regulator would say he and Wags are the same or comparable. And so, but they're comparable, but I think Regulator is better, right? I do think the combination of Grip and Riddler is stronger than Primetime and Nelson. But the problem is that I'm thinking of non-tournament, non-Tundra Primetime. And you just saw he's up in your stats and most points and all that stuff. So I will say if you want to like swap some fours and people that Primetime Nelson is not as strong as Riddler and Grip for what it's worth.
That's true. That's a
So if
great
you want
point.
to swap things, that's why this group stood out to me because they had the four, but they didn't have necessarily the 2, 3-ish, if you will. So it might make sense to put Chesty in the other one. Or if you want, because we can, I know it's chaos and all that stuff. Maybe you swap something out of where, but like, where, but I almost think take, I would both put Chesty in this group as much as it sucks for Regulator and then maybe move KCAB out. Whichever one is better, move them out of this group between KCAB and Tick and swap them with Chesty. And I think that kind of makes sense.
Well, and to be honest, I'm better with this one simply because KCAB and Regulator have played a good number of times. So he's from Columbus. Yep, much better. KCAB, we're moving you, buddy.
I don't think people agree with us. Do they agree with us?
I don't know. I'm not doing another vote. Get out of here.
Oh,
We're doing this
well,
live for content. What do you think about
yeah,
this, though?
I mean, yeah, and to be honest though, for what it's worth, we're probably gonna have. Yeah, that's fine. We're probably gonna have another group anyway because there's gonna be
Yeah.
random people who end up doing it. So this could all be shot to hell. So
Yeah. So before people all freak out, this is most likely a placeholder for now. Um, we have, I think it's 2 or 3 groups of 6, and I'm sure I probably missed one other unranked guy somewhere because we have more than 52. So I'll take a look. On that note, just for you guys, and wanted to bring it up in the beginning, didn't bring it up in the beginning. Ludio is not going to be able to make it on Saturday. Unfortunately, his dad passed away. Um, so that was a very unexpected thing. So for those that are the praying type, please be praying for that family. And then Ryan as well, Ryan 11P. He had a family member pass away and he's unable to make it as well. So just want to let you guys know that. Our thoughts, prayers, and condolences are obviously with you and your families. Just tough situations overall. So with that being said, these are fluid groups. We don't normally change a whole lot on game day. A couple people shuffle here and there. Primarily, the heart of these groups is going to stay the same. So there might be a couple guys. As you saw, we shifted 2 people because I had left one out. So my apologies to Chesty on that. And then Super Duper, you got moved to Group 7. So that's where we're at for now. As people continue to register, we'll make this fluid situation. Once we get to 5 groups of 6, we're going to pop it over into its own group of 5. So there will be a little adjustment there. So just bear with us. Obviously on the seedings, things change. So appreciate your patience with that. Hoff, any final thoughts on group structure, any of the upcoming events, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like it's a bittersweet day. It's just kind of like, it's the last time we're gonna do this,
Yep.
and then it's gonna be the last, tournament we do together, and it's just trying to soak it all in. There's a big difference, and I mean, I don't know what the future holds for Tundra. I know it's there's no guarantee or likeliness I'm gonna be involved like I am with you. So it's just trying to appreciate the moment and appreciate all that you do. I don't think people who run tournaments get enough credit from the people that go to the tournaments, how hard it is and how much work gets put in and whatnot. So thanks to you for putting this on for 10 years and for really trying to pick up the mantle, of the void that was left when medicine was kind of gone. I know you tried your best to do that, and I'm excited to see the new faces this year who've never come before, some of the best players, that might have come like Thule and whatnot. And I think that for all you guys who can make a last minute plan, man, just come to the tournament because Nate and his team do a top notch job. Not taking anything away from any of the places, but like I would say that this is the most traditional format, the largest, most traditional format there is. When it comes to tournaments, and I just think that people should come experience it for with the team that currently runs it because it's definitely run very well.
Thanks, Hoff. I appreciate that, and obviously, I couldn't do it without you guys. So, obviously, thank you to you and the team, and I'll continue to sing the praises of the team forever because couldn't do it without them. And so many people have helped contribute, and just very appreciative of your time and the team's time, and all the other people that are not officially on the team, just for conversations. And um, you know, won't get too sentimental here, but it's meant a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
over the.
yeah. Save your tears for the day of.
I will, and honestly, I probably will. But it's 10 years is a long time, man. So it's been an honor to put this all together, and I trust that it's going to be left in very good hands for next year's Tundra Bowl, and we'll just go from there. So
It's
last,
special
yeah,
thanks real quick to all the people who come too and watch because
yeah,
honestly, like you guys are the reason why I participate, to entertain you and to see your engagement. I say this all the time with War when you guys watch our content and the same thing goes here. It's just you guys make it easy, no matter what you're saying, whether I agree with it or not, just your level of engagement makes it easy to want to be involved in stuff like this because without you, this stuff doesn't exist. And so, or it's just like this small potatoes, thing that maybe doesn't go on a stream or whatever else. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with those tournaments, but it's just like you guys help make it what it is. Because I don't know if I'm speaking for Nate here, but I know at least in my regard that all of you make me want to do this kind of stuff.
yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, that's why we made it to 10 because at 8 it was starting to get to the point of kids are getting older now and there's a lot more to do of extracurriculars and family and but it's been really great to be able to put this on for you guys and I appreciate all
Yeah.
the engagement and content. So um, last thought, champion this year, or at least the final two. Who you got? Who's your champion, and who's your dark horse for a champion? Let's do that.
Well, dude, I made the mistake of, even remotely suggesting DPS is in a one. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think DPS would get 5-1 versus the field. I think I don't even know if it would be even odds at this point. But do I think DPS is maybe like a plus 150? Sure, to win. I mean, I don't know. I gotta converse with K Molnar, but it's what the chalk final four is. I don't think there is a chalk final four because it's really tough because I think with Nas in there and Wags and obviously you got Gat who's supposed to play 50 games a day, and obviously DPS and regulator. It's gonna be a dogfight. Like I don't know. Like I know conventional wisdom says DPS, and I can't bet against it. Just like I always told War when we were picking 2K or whatever. Like I'm never gonna pick against Nas while he was on his run. But and like when we were betting on divisions and what have you. But it's just so you can't bet against DPS. But dude, I'm gonna tell you what, he potentially has the hardest road he's ever gonna have in this tournament than maybe he's ever had before to win it. And that goes for any of the people who are gonna win this tournament. Like name me a road that's harder, and and I would love to see it because if this actually ends up going super chalky, where some of these best players, or if it doesn't, and they end up in the bracket at a certain level because of whatever happened in their group, like someone could have to go through a ridiculous buzzsaw to win this tournament. So, and that's not even taking into account, the people who weren't expected, like Shed, like Woodshed, like Primetime, like K Monar, who, weren't even given a thought at the time to make the runs they made. So, like, dude, this could be epic.
It's going to be. I would have to say that you probably are going to have DPS as well. I think that that's where we're going to go as far as my thought on champion.
Well, you
Um,
have to. You just have
yep,
to. You just can't bet
yep,
against them. Like, is it DPS is at the level, and I think War said this best. DPS is at the level at this point where if he doesn't win, it's a surprise. It's just what it is, man. Like it's just that's the level he's at. That's what he's created for himself. And I remember like I talked to Gatch at length about this when Gatch was winning everything. Where dude, and I mean, it's so much pressure. Like I can't even imagine how it feels to like be that good at this game and be expected to beat everybody where it's a surprise when you don't beat everybody, and what have you. Like, I mean, and think about that. Think about that for a second. Like, you know, obviously everyone expected Gatz to win, but at the time when Gatz was making his huge runs, if he lost the regulator, if he lost to one of these really incredible players, it's kind of like, okay, well, he ran into a buzzsaw, right? But like literally right now, DPS could play Gatz, play Nas, play regulator, play, Randy Wags, whomever, and I expect DPS to win. I get surprised if he doesn't. So like, I mean,
yeah.
Mer- someone please name a time when that happened before because I don't think I've ever in my technical experience in the last 10 years I've been in part of the community, I don't ever remember feeling that way about anybody else. I expected Guests to win, I expected Nas to win, but I was never like no matter who he played, nor who they played was surprised when they lost. Like there were some people who had their numbers, dude. DPS just beats everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not. What he's doing is unparalleled. I think if he wins this tournament, it's got to go down as maybe the greatest run of all time.
It's hard to argue with Getz's three Pete in Madison, but it's approaching that territory for sure. Um, it's give me two dark horses, number 2 seed or below.
Oh God, can we scroll through them real quick?
Yep. I made a quick correction. Riddler pointed it out. I had Super Duper. I didn't change KCAB, his name in
Got it.
Group 7. So,
Two dark horses, two or below.
yep.
I'm gonna pick Grip Smoke as a dark horse, and I'm gonna pick. Yeah, scroll back. You know what, man? Since it's the last one, I'm gonna pick you. You can be a dark horse too.
I appreciate the sentiment. It
When
is
was the last time? When
misplaced.
was the last time, dude? When was the last time you finished lower than Elite Eight?
Last year, Sweet 16.
Besides last year.
Oh,
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
right, you were always Final Four, Elite Eight every single year before that. Like, so you know what? You and Griff are my dark horses.
Beautiful. I appreciate that. Much
Wait.
love.
I want to let's go through threes real quick. Scroll. I want to see a three dark horse. One more time. Sorry.
No, you're good.
My three dark horses. If you 3 seed dark horses are Rico.
Yep.
Just you don't know which Rico's going to. It depends if he gets in a drinking match with Regulator
Right.
and Riddler. Those are the
Yeah.
three. Those are the dark horse threes.
Yeah. I'd say for the 2 seeds, DT, Grip, and then maybe Madtown. And then 3 seeds, Flow might just go Flow on everybody. I don't know. But I think probably
No, he's a good pick, man. He's a good pick.
yeah. I don't know enough about player, but Riddler probably as well. So Nelson, we'll see. He made that run at Thunderdome. He took second in Florida. We'll see. We'll see. But we both agree DPS is the man to be.
You got it.
All right. To answer the last question, how do we play 4 games in a 6-player group? It's on the side of the sheet. It tells you which ones you just don't play one of your opponents. So it'll be on the sheets of what number to play. So like 1 will play, 2, 3, and 5 and 6 or something. I don't know. I'm just making those numbers up, but it's on the side of the sheet. So it'll tell you what to do. You guys just write it down on the sheet, and then you figure out who you play. So, all right. I think that's it, Hoff. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it, man. It's bittersweet, like you said, but appreciate all of the time and effort, and much love to you. And I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, as Damar Hamlin always says, show love, it costs nothing, man.
Absolutely. With that, we'll sign off. So for Hoff, I'm Nate. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you Friday, hopefully. If not, we'll see you on Saturday. And make sure you guys have safe travels. We'll
Yeah, I
talk to
just
you guys
want to go
later.
on record and say
Yeah.
Nate and I are coming for those belts, BTS and Riddler. We're coming for that 2v2 belt. Let's go.
Yeah, we are. All right, we're out.